That is super annoying. This is definitely the last time I used this one.
Well, that was sure fun.
Yeah, that's the last time I end that one. Wait a sec, hold on. I am deleting that video. Jeez, that was crazy. Sorry about that. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, awesome.
I can hear you.
There it is. Boom! Welcome, everybody, to Mr. Wedding, the show all about the wedding industry. It's our first episode here. This is crazy. Kel, thanks for logging on. I'm glad you made it. This is important. This is like showing up to a gig on time, Kel.
It is.
Right? It's like showing up to a gig on time, right? Like this is something party pros are known for.
With a traffic jam on the way downtown Vancouver.
Yeah.
Pretty much that.
This is like you had a tech traffic jam on our first episode. That's okay. We'll get better. I want to introduce somebody who I think is simply amazing in the wedding industry. I've been in the wedding industry for 12 years. I have met a lot of people, but Rebecca Bennett was one of the first people I met in the business. She was so nice to me, even when I was just a pipsqueak DJ, messing up on my mixes and coming in with no DJ booth back in the day when I had tablecloths. I hated those days. But Rebecca Bennett was always so nice to me. She always treated me great. So I thought here in our first episode, we have to have her on. So welcome, Rebecca Bennett. She is a photographer here in Vancouver and all over the Lower Mainland. Rebecca, tell everybody about yourself. Yeah, she's
Hi.
Awesome.
Okay, so I'm Rebecca. Okay, so I was actually a caregiver before I became a full-time photographer.
Oh, wow.
And then when I was on my maternity leave, I've always been into photography. I've always uh, basically went to my friends' weddings and stuff and hid behind the main photographer, capturing my own shots, kind of realizing now how annoying I really was being. But I ended up having a conversation with my husband that I didn't want to be a caregiver anymore. So then I took my 1 year of maternity leave and just grew my business. So yeah, I've been in the business for 11 years. So just 1 year shy of you.
Wow, 11 years, eh? So you were kind of green too when we first got in there. We're the same.
Absolutely.
I also want to unpack a couple of things there, Rebecca. So you were watching someone, photographer, in the background of other weddings, and you were kind of saying being annoying. So does that mean you were kind of asking questions about the particular shots? And is that did you have like a mini mentor at the time? Is that kind of what I'm hearing?
Okay, so no, I kept my distance away from the main photographers. I just watched their every move. I saw everything that they were doing and just watched from a distance and absorbed it all because everything I did was self-taught at the time. And so I was watching by their mistakes, something that they were doing that they were missing, that I was like, okay, note to self, and just kind of absorbing and taking things on. Which is so ironic because later on, what ended up happening of how I ended up getting into it was that I was at a friend's wedding and their photographer ended up double booking. So that photographer was a no-show at the wedding. But I happened to be there. I happened to have the equipment with me because I was going to be that annoying person again. And I had seen so many weddings and what the photographers had done that I felt super comfortable going into the wedding that I told my friend not to worry about it, that I would take over the wedding. And so from that wedding, I ended up getting 3 bookings. And then moving forward, I just kept getting more and more and more bookings that it just naturally ended up happening.
You were the perfect guest at that wedding.
I was.
Hey, it was the fateful perfect guest at that wedding. Right?
Yeah.
So
no,
how
I
many
believe that
weddings?
Everything happens. Everything happens for a reason.
All right. So how many have you done, do you think, in this past, 11, 12 years? How many weddings? Do you know?
Okay. So from the time that I actually started photographing weddings to the time that I actually created my own company, that this is all I've been doing for work, is about 1,300 weddings.
Holy crap, 1,300 weddings.
Wow.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
So there isn't a whole lot that I haven't seen at this point.
So if you do the math, 1,300 weddings, and then you've been in the business for 11 years, that's just a little over 100 weddings a year.
Jesus.
That is accurate.
Wow. Okay, so tell me why weddings? Like, it's got to be the most grueling industry part of industry in business. Totally. Like when I talk to other DJs, they're like, "Oh, you do weddings?" They're always like, "No, I don't want any part of that." People are scared of doing weddings. Why? Why put yourself in that position? Like, seriously, even especially as a photographer, like that must be grueling.
Okay, so it is one of those things that I love high pressure situations. I love working on the fly. I love when there's a situation that ends up coming my way. And let's just say I have a stressed out bride. Let's just say something's not going her way. Let's just say a vendor of hers is a no-show, like a limo, or the catering company doesn't show up, or something ends up happening. Because I've been in the industry for so long, it's one of those things that I have so many connections. I know so many different people that being that person that's able to save the day, it's just one of those crazy feelings where you feel like you were such a part of a big day that you will always be remembered. And I love the people that I meet. I love the bridal party and the bride and groom and hearing about their story and just being part of it. And not only that, but for me, it's like I get to be there from the start of their journey, from their engagement to their weddings to a year later, all of a sudden I'm doing their maternity photos to their family photos. And then I get to see their children grow. So for an example, because I've been a photographer now for so many years, the first photo shoot that I ever did before I got into weddings was I actually did a newborn session 17 years ago. And
Oh,
to
wow.
have that child now graduating is like a whole.
Oh, that's reality right there. That's a reality.
There's two
But you know
points that
what?
there's 2 points that I really love there. What you said there, Rebecca, is one, you love being kind of the hero to save the day at weddings, and you love, solving problems and helping people through their, their big day. That's the first thing that I picked up. And then the second thing I picked up is that you loved watching these, new families grow from a couple to a family to a first birthday to a 10th birthday to graduation. So I really love that. I just wanted to point that out.
Aw, thank you. I appreciate that.
Do you remember the first wedding photo you took? Do you have it? Are you sentimental like that? Like, do you keep it?
So it's so funny because if you talk to my mother-in-law, if you talk to my husband, I am not a sentimental person whatsoever. However, what I am sentimental of is photos. So what that means is I don't keep photos of like my daughter, or sorry, I don't keep like an outfit of the outfit my daughter came home in the hospital with. I don't keep the memories of like all those little things, but I do take photos of them and then I store the photos. So photos are just a big deal to me, and that's where the sentimentalness comes in.
It seems like every photographer has this, like, I don't want to use the word passion, but it has this obsession with photos. Like, did you have an obsession when you were younger?
Okay, so how I got into photography to begin with, way before weddings, way before any of that. So I've actually known my husband since we were 12 years old. And Kevin and I met the very first day of high school. My last name was Ben Wick and his last name was Bennett. And so Kevin was part of the yearbook committee, and he needed photos of like the football team and the track team and everything else. So then I ended up taking his camera and going out and doing all those photos that ended up in the yearbook. So I think it's funny because one of the first photos that I ever took was part of the football team. And I remember it was like one of the star players of the football team. And he ended up telling me what the play was going to be before they ended up doing it. And he ended up telling me that he was going to run down the field and the quarterback was going to pass him the ball. And if I could get a shot of him catching it, that would be amazing. And I thought, well, yeah, absolutely. So the play ended up happening, and I ended up running side by side with him down the field, not paying attention to what was happening in front of me, not knowing if I was going to run into anyone, but I ended up capturing the frame by frame of him, like putting his hands out and holding on, catching the ball. And way back in the day, it was film. And so it was definitely more of a timing thing than it was for digital. So yeah,
and
that was my first
and a star was born. And I'm not talking about the football guy. He's probably fat and hating his life by this time.
Well, it's funny because I still talk to him and he still has that photo.
Of course he does. That was his best moment of his life. Catching that ball. I know, as a football guy, I know that was like a big moment.
Did he even catch the ball, or was he like just like this? And like, oh, okay.
Nope, caught it, touchdown, the whole thing.
Just get the photo.
He caught it. I know. He's like,
I don't have to catch it. Just make it look like I'm catching it.
So we're looking at some of your photos here on the side here. I don't know if you guys can see it. I assume you can. And I mean, like, look at the camera. So as a like non-photey, what do they call people who are photographers? Phodies? No, they don't, do they?
I think so.
Shutterbugs? Shutterbugs? Are you a shutterbug? I think.
I'm gonna go with sure.
Okay, so what is this? Like, what's the difference between me taking a photo of this and then you taking this amazing photo? Like, what's the difference?
So here's the thing. You'll often actually hear people say that an iPhone can take really great professional photos. The truth of the matter is, can an iPhone take really great photos? Absolutely, it can. But it's the resolution. You can't do anything with the photo when it's all said and done. You can't edit it in a way that you bring it up in Photoshop because you end up losing so much of the resolution that the photo's meaningless and useless unless if you're going to use it on Facebook and Instagram. So for me, that's another thing that I actually really wanted to talk about when I was on here with you guys is a lot of photographers will actually use Lightroom to edit. And I do not use Lightroom. It's one of those things that I try to talk about with my couples. What Lightroom is it's a really easy editing program where you can edit one image and then you set it to remember everything that you did in that one photo. And then you preset all the rest of your photos to look exactly like the original photo. So when you pay a photographer, you know, thousands of dollars because you think that you're getting like 1,000 edited photos, the amount of time that photographer might have spent editing your images was maybe 2 or 3 hours. So it's important to actually find out from a photographer exactly what they're doing regarding editing your photos. For an example, I edit my photos in Photoshop. Anyone that hears me say that I edit my photos in Photoshop, ask me why, because it's so much work. Photoshop is editing a photo one image at a time. And so the type of things that I'll edit out is cords, wires, plugins, exit signs. If a groom cuts himself shaving the morning of, I will definitely fix that scratch. A lot of people want their like teeth whitened, or, you know, parents tend to not like how they look in photos because, you know, they've aged so much since the last time that they've had photos that, you know, to take out a couple wrinkles here and there just to make them feel a little bit better. I will edit a person to the point where it still looks like them, but not to the point where they're overly edited, where you can tell that that person was definitely tweaked.
Oh, interesting. So, that's interesting. I didn't know that well, obviously I knew there was a program and stuff for that, but that's so cool. Like this one here with the rain. Like,
Yes.
is this the perfect setting for a photographer? Like how it's bombed outside, it's gray, because all these photos always seem to look so good.
So, you know, what's really funny about this photo. I believe it was, I want to say 2020 was when I took this photo, and we had an absolute torrential downpour. Before we had the massive flooding, this was one of the worst rainstorms that we ended up getting. And this bride was caught in the middle of it. And so with all my weddings, I always bring my clear umbrellas with me, which I always bring about 30. She's using one of my umbrellas there. So this is a torrential downpour, and this is what it looked like, where I didn't have to edit the rain. I didn't have to do any of that, but I definitely did edit the photo regarding that you can actually see the water and it's not completely washed out. You can see the details that are behind it. You can see the details in her dress, and that's the type of editing that I did in this photo.
That's awesome. That looks so good. Wow.
How do you fit 30 umbrellas in your trunk?
Yeah, that's crazy. Wow.
Yeah, anytime I go to a wedding, I always come prepared.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
All right, so what is the worst situation and the best situation for a photographer? Like, you know, let's wrap it all up in climate and just, you know, the atmosphere. Like, what's a good situation to be in, and what's a bad one?
Okay, so so I'm just going to talk to the brides that are out there that are basically listening into this. The best thing that you can do for any of your vendors, not just your photographer, not just your videographer, but all of your vendors, is make them feel like they're part of the family. When people feel like they're the hired help, you get that vibe from it, and you feel like you're the hired help. You don't feel like, whether you're there, whether you're not there, whether they hired someone else, there's no connection. There's nothing that makes you feel like you're going to go the extra mile. But when you feel connected to the mom and to the dad and to the family, it's one of those things that you learn, okay, well, this person came in from out of town. Okay, that's important. I want to make sure that you guys get photos with that person. Oh, you made all of your details. Great. I will definitely make sure. It's when they take that extra time and communicate with you and truly bring you into the actual wedding where you just feel like you're now part of it. And so that's the biggest advice that I want to give to all bride and grooms is talk to your vendors and connect with them to the point where it feels like it's a friend showing up to the day of the wedding and not just someone that you've hired.
That's really actually a really good point, because I feel that too. I always feel like the best weddings you go to are the ones where everybody's friends and family and everybody is very cool with each other. You know, they are able to welcome strangers into their midst because they're so confident and they're sure about who they are as people. It's always seems to me like some of the worst wedding situations are people who are trying way too hard, right? Like they're trying way too hard to put on this big show or have all these crazy things happening at weddings. Like I've been to weddings where it's been like, there's a belly dancer, and then there's a photo booth, and then there's a magician, and then there's this crazy thing happening with cars. I've been one where there's all these cars they brought in. Like, why would you bring in all these cars? Like, oh, we just thought it would look cool, you know? And it's like, no, you're not being yourself. And when you're farthest away from yourself is when people will pick up on it that this is not real. And also it makes people feel super uncomfortable. Like I can imagine as a photographer, if you have all these things that you got to take a picture of, it's hell on earth because you're like, oh my God, I'm going to have 10,000 photos of nothing, have nothing to do with you guys remembering your special day, right?
Okay, so that's another thing that stands me apart from other photographers, though, is because with my wedding package, I offer something that not a lot of photographers end up offering. I actually give them the photos of every single photo that was taken the entire day of the wedding. For me, because everything is digital, I do definitely overshoot it like crazy. Like if the bride decides that, you know, someone came in from out of town and has flown in and she wants like family photos, but then later on wants more family photos and then later on wants more family photos. Honestly, my entire point of view is that it's their day. They're going to get a copy of all of the photos that are taken regardless, that I rather overshoot it than undershoot it. And they only get their wedding day once, you know, hopefully. And so, yeah, I rather just give them everything.
Oh, that's cool. See, that's why I like you, man. You just have you're so easygoing. Like I've seen you at weddings where it was super stressful and things were weird, and then you're just like do like just taking my photos, and you even stay later sometimes. Like there's a lot of things that I've seen in the industry with photographers, especially that are like not very patient. There's some people who are just super impatient. It's like, dude, what else do you have to do today? Like, if you haven't booked off this day for the wedding, you know, like, why are you even here? Like, you should be all in and invested for the couple, right?
Well, to be fair, who doesn't love a good wedding? And
True.
so it's one of those things. The wedding is the enjoyable part. The wedding is the party and the atmosphere and the people. The hard part is later when you're sitting in front of a computer for 40 hours editing the entire wedding photos, because the average wedding, it depends if I have one photographer or two photographers. I'm still the one that does all the editing at the end of the day. So let's just say there's two photographers that are there and I'm going through 3,000 images and narrowing them down to 200 for me to edit. That alone takes like 5 or 6 hours.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Jeez, you're brave. You are super brave. That's crazy.
But it's funny because what I tend to do is after I leave the wedding, I'm so grateful that I have Michelle Hall. That is my second photographer. I work with her hands down the most. And I'm lucky enough because she will actually come with me back to my house after we're done a wedding, and we'll stop, we'll pick up our Tim Hortons coffees, and together we will actually go through and look at all of the photos that we took from the entire day of that night together, which I love and appreciate as a second photographer for her to do that, just because what she likes to do is see, okay, she's picked out, or if Michelle's looking at my point of view, okay, so Rebecca's picked out this photo, this photo, this photo. Okay, this is what she's looking for. This is what I can do to improve. This is what I need to do moving forward. So she's very invested, which is why I like to work with her as much as I do.
That's cool. It's important to have a good team, I take it. Like,
absolutely,
to have good people working with you, right?
Absolutely.
So what do you learn then over these 12 years in the industry? Like, you've obviously made some mistakes. Nobody's perfect, but what have you learned from all this? It's like, what can you take away from the mistakes that you've made?
It is one of those things. And again, if I'm talking to bride and grooms, the importance of having two photographers. It is physically impossible for one photographer to be in two places at once. It is very likely for a guest to accidentally stand in the way of that one photographer and completely shatter the photo that was supposed to be taken. Let's just say the bride's walking down the aisle and there's all these cell phones that are hanging out in the middle of the aisle, and you have another photographer that's at a completely different point of view that's actually able to capture it, because there's nothing I could do in that situation. That is a make it or break it for a wedding day. And so a lot of bride and grooms also have the idea that a second photographer is about capturing how many guests are there at the wedding. The truth of the matter is, a second photographer has nothing to do with your guest count. I am the bride's photographer. I stick with the bride. Everything the bride does, it's about the bride's parents, the bride's bridal party, the bride. The second photographer is about the groom and his parents and his groomsmen and him getting ready the morning of. When the bride's walking down the aisle, the second photographer is watching the groom's face, watching the bride come down the aisle. Or when we're at the reception, I'm focused on the people that are giving the speeches and the head table. I'm waiting for a moment. I'm waiting for a cue. I'm waiting for someone to burst out crying or someone to burst out laughing. I'm waiting for those moments. Meanwhile, the second photographer is capturing the immediate family and people that are cheersing each other. And it's the candid photos, and it's people enjoying the wedding and truly enjoying the atmosphere of what was happening, that the bride and groom and myself never knew that was happening the day of. The second photographer was there to capture it.
I really like how you, I really like how you have specific rules for the two photographers. I always kind of thought it's like, oh, it's just a different angle, or it's a wide shot or a zoomed in shot. But no, it's completely different roles and responsibilities altogether. So that's pretty important, I would say, to communicate to, and it's easy for like a couple to understand, because I never knew that those two different jobs.
I didn't know that either, actually. I always thought it was like, just picking up the crumbs. The second person picks up the crumbs, you know what I mean? And just gets other things, but I didn't realize it was specific to each person. That's so cool, actually.
Absolutely. And especially when you work with the same person over and over, you really start to learn, okay, so this is where that one photographer goes. This is where the other photographer goes. And if I'm talking to other photographers that are out there, it's also really important going into the day of the wedding that you don't label yourself as the main photographer and the second photographer. You are both a team. You are both even. You are both equal. Everything is getting captured is equally as important.
So cool. You hear that, Kel? That's us too. Right? We're a team.
That is us.
Right? That's exactly how we think.
1000%.
We're a team, and we need to accomplish this goal together. It's not one or the other. Like, sometimes they hire a magician and they throw in the DJ, or vice versa. And we're like, you know what? We're both equal, because at the end, we just want the couples to feel great about their day. Because, man, weddings are expensive, and weddings are like a one-shot deal, right? Like, you only have one chance to really make it great. So, I guess really understanding that as a photographer. I didn't know that about photography. That's really good. With that said, there's some pretty bad photographers out there. And I'm not going to say any names, obviously, because I'm not doing that. But in the world, there's been some really bad wedding photos taken. I just wanted to look at a couple of them with you. because I think I found some of these online that were horrible. And I wonder what's going on in the head of some of these wedding people here, because this is ridiculous. Now, here's the first one where this couple's having this beautiful beach wedding. She's got on her dress. Everything looks great. And then there's a guy. You know what the most disrespectful part about this is? It's probably not even color coordinated to the wedding. Like, who has a red wedding, right? He could at least worn like a pink or purple, you know, whatever that thing is. What is that? A banana hammock? What is that thing? It's horrible.
I will say, based on this photo, though, I'm going to tell you that this was staged because,
yes,
you know, you can easily get a photo like that and then just, you know, move to a different angle. I guarantee that that person was completely staged regarding it. What the disrespectful ones that I find are when people are on Sea-Doos or in a boat or something, and there's a ceremony that's taking place, and they go behind and they think that they're just randomly in the background and they're not going to be in any of the photos, but really they're right behind the ceremony. That's the pretty disrespectful ones.
How about these ones where these people do, like this one where they set up and they're like, hey, let's do something really funny. Like, do you think people regret this in 10 years? Like when they go back and look at their wedding photos, let's look at the guys are squatting and the girls are standing and they're obviously urinating, right? But do you think they regret this stuff? Like, do you ever hear of stories of people going, oh man, I wish I wouldn't have done that?
Okay, so definitely I have seen my fair share of the fun and the silly photos. I myself have taken the bridal party peeing because that's what they wanted. It is one of those things that they tend to usually keep those photos pretty private, but I don't know, the day of the wedding, if you want to show your own personality and that's your photo and those are the memories that you want to have, you know what, whatever floats your boat, and it's your wedding day, and there's no rule book saying that you can or cannot do certain things if you don't want to.
Yeah. And like, I mean, just bad timing photos. You know, like
bad timing photos are everything though.
Like, is this the money shot, pardon the pun, but like, I mean, is this the money shot for a wedding photo? Like the guy's exploding his face, her face. Like, you got to love getting a shot like this if you're a photographer. This has to be
absolutely. It is a thing. So anyone that wants the champagne photos, you always shake up the champagne and then you pop the lid, and every time it does this.
He's looking like he's popping something else. Something else is popping there. And she looks rather disturbed. She better be ready for the honeymoon. I mean, with that, it's going to be a
lightsaber.
Oh.
Now this one has to be staged. I feel like she's drunk. You can tell by her legs are kind of wobbling and stuff, but kind of like inappropriate-ish, right? Inappropriate? Or is this another fun thing that you just have? Like, it's funny when you look at these videos, you think maybe some of them are staged and maybe some of them are. Oh man, this one's bad. That one's really bad. The drunken. So this one, obviously, they caught them in a moment shaking, drunk. Like, you know what's horrible? Let's look at the sunburn tattoo heart on her. Like, this is a mess. Have you ever had any crazy drunken wedding photos that people are just like, please, I don't want those to get up? Like,
you know what's so funny? You don't even have to be drunk to get photos like this. There are so many times, like, I really shouldn't be saying this, but when Michelle and I are at the computer and we're going through all of the photos and it's just a timing thing. And this is like every single wedding, there's one of these.
wow, this is a party pro dance floor classic shot right there. Holy smokes. That is crazy. And so this is the one, like you were saying, you know, the guy with the head and the thing. Like, this is just sloppy photo taking, obviously. And it has the photography guy right here too. Westgate Photography. Don't hire them. Don't hire them. I don't know where they're from, but don't hire them. They don't even look. So they get ahead in the picture. So are you able to edit that out if you were to?
Absolutely.
That's what you do, right?
Yeah. Honestly, to edit that out is like 10 seconds.
It's easy. All right. And then here's one of my favorite scenarios. I've been at a wedding where this happened, where people fell into the water, not collapse the deck, but how precarious are these water shots, like the wharf shots? And you've seen people try to make dangerous photos. Like, do you advise it? Like, is there like what can you say to couples who want to do these kind of shots? This is hilarious.
Save it to last.
Oh, very end.
Yeah. Because you see it, you know that it can happen.
Yeah.
I've seen it too many times that I will tell them that this is likely to happen. So often later on in the evening before I end up leaving, if that's what they want to do and they still want to go out and do a shot like this, okay, then it's not going to matter anymore because I'm leaving and the evening's done.
I love this guy here. He's on dry land. He's like, here, let me hold you up by the arm. Like, it's not doing anything for poor guy.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
No, there was a time that I did a wedding and the groom lifted up the bride and he accidentally lost his balance and dropped forward and dropped her into Cultus Lake.
Oh, nice. Oh, was it summer?
Wow.
It was, yeah. Well,
okay,
it was
she's lucky.
September.
Okay, so last one. What's going on with this photo? Like, what were they trying to accomplish in this photo, and why should nobody ever try this stupid look? Because this is horrible. What is this?
Okay, well, first of all, the photographer being down shooting up doesn't look good on anyone.
Yeah.
If you ask any bride, she would always want an angle shooting downwards because nobody likes this. Yeah, it's kind of creepy.
And is it like a blue tint? Is that like a blue? Like they must have asked for this.
So what they would have done is turned it black and white and then tinted it into kind of like the grayish blue tinge that's in. I want to say it's in Photoshop, but yeah, it would have been black and white and then with a tinge.
Dude, that is ugly. That is like a bad shot. I'm sorry. That's the worst of all of them here. The blue tint. That's crazy. So crazy. All right. So just on a different note, you're a mom of cats and mom of children and stuff. How is the work mom life balance for you? How do you find that doing 100 weddings a year?
I'm going to be honest with you guys. And it was a struggle for a really, really long time. And so I grew my business when I was on maternity leave. So I would be sitting at the computer and editing while holding on to a newborn baby, trying to trying to do it all. It wasn't till about 6 years ago when I finally gave in and I ended up finding a house cleaner that comes in every single week, every single Tuesday, where she comes in and cleans my house. I don't know where my life would be without Shelly.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, no, that's what helps with keeping my house, nice and clean. And then as far as Natalie goes, she's 11 years old. She very much understands. But it's almost like me and my husband have been together now for 19 years, that we've just got this system in place where Monday to Friday, Kevin's at work and I'm at home, and that's when I'm editing, and I can take time and step away from the computer, do the whole mom thing, come back to the computer. And then I do my evenings and weekends are my photo shoots and my meetings and my advertising and my wedding shows. And that's when I get to go out.
Oh, nice. Do you watch any wedding TV shows?
All of them.
Do you? Do you watch all of them? What's your favorite? What's your favorite ones that you watch?
Well, I have Netflix, and so anytime that there's a romantic comedy or a Jennifer Lopez movie that's out there, I'm all about it. Yeah. For the longest time, I used to watch Say Yes to the Dress.
Oh yeah, I've seen that guy. I think they got a new guy now. They have they used to have the old guy, the Skeletor kind of guy. Now they have the new guy. It's not the same because I see that old guy. He still kind of slums it around the local wedding fairs and shows up, and he comes in and does his thing, right? And I used to really like that guy, but the new guy, I'm not feeling so much. I'm feeling it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to ask you to list. This is something that Kel and I talk about all the time. Hey, Kel? Can you still hear us?
1 to 6 importance of these wedding necessities.
Okay. We go over this probably every year, and I think every year it probably changes for us because we see it so much. And we need to ask our guests this, and you're going to be the first one we ask. And we need you to rate the importance of these 6 things. Like, these are the staple wedding items. Everybody has them. They're the necessities of the wedding business. I need you to rate from 1 to 6 what you think is the most important to the least important. And nothing is wrong, because these are all important. But tell me, what do you think when you're planning a wedding? What are the top 6 things that
You just want me to like list off what I think is important?
Yeah. Well, so number 1 is photography, as you can see on the banner. Number 2 is food. Number 3 is venue. Number 4 is entertainment. 5, video. 6, flowers, which is always 6 for me. There's no ever changing. No one will ever convince me flowers will be anywhere higher than 6. So what do you think is the number 1 most important part about a wedding?
To be honest, the order that you already have it in is the order that I would keep it in. The thing is there's 3 things that any couple is going to take from their wedding, and it's the photos, the rings, and the marriage. And so during the pandemic, when we only had 10 people showing up to weddings, you could have the wedding anywhere that you wanted, but it was the photos that allowed you to share that with your family and your friends. Food is definitely a big one where people remember the food. And anyone that tells you that they don't remember the food, they're lying to you, and the food wasn't good.
Because they're vegan. Vegans always complain. I know, I live with one, trust me.
Right. And then the venue, which is your setting, which is the overall, the experience that's behind it. And having a videographer is important. Well, I mean, it's entertainment after that, because, you know, your guests need to have some type of entertainment to keep them, other than your wedding would just be boring and nothing about it's memorable. And then after that would be video, which for me, my one regret from my wedding was that to have the ceremony and the speeches in video. Those would have been the 2 moments that I would have enjoyed having. And then you're right, flowers, they're nice, they're pretty. And in fact, a little thing that I actually recently learned, bridesmaids never knew what to do with their hands, like when they're walking down the aisle. And that's why flowers actually became a thing, part of weddings, because then it gave them something to hold on to and something to do with their hands.
Oh, wow. That's crazy. Hey, Kel?
Yeah.
It's just a distraction.
What's your list? What's your list of this, Kel? Like, what's your 1 to 6?
It's pretty similar. I think the 1, 2, and 3, those are very close. Like, even though it's like you've ordered it that way, it's actually very close. Like, if any one of those don't work, they fall. Like, like I still look at my wedding photos with Fifi. So
oh, you guys do?
Yeah, we do, and it's still my wallpaper and stuff like that. So I still look at it, and I have a slideshow over there. It's my wedding reel, like just rolling. So I kind of look at it every now and then. So
does it play all the time?
Yeah, it's just on my Google Home, and it just kind of like a rolling slideshow, and yeah.
You will always remember. I am married to you. Look on the wall.
You don't even see it, but it's like this little screen over there, and
oh, I've seen that at your house. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just rolling over. So
does it haunt you in the middle of the night? Like, does it talk and it's reminding you that you're married?
No, I already have Fifi to do that for me.
Yeah.
So, the food I will say, like, the service was slow. Like, the food was good in my venue, but the service was slow, and that was memorable on a negative way. So I can remember that. So again, it's one of those things, like, equally important. So
Rebecca, what have you seen since coming back from COVID days? Like, what have you seen that has changed in the business? Like, a lot of things have changed. A lot of things have gotten worse. Some things have gotten better. Like, what's caught your attention?
Some of the protocols, some of the things that people are still kind of keeping up with the protocols and stuff where they don't necessarily need to anymore. I find it interesting because, okay, I'm going to veer a little bit.
Cool.
I find it interesting that bride and grooms will try to lowball vendors because they feel like it's all about their guest count and how big or small their weddings are going to be having. So, for an example, as a wedding photographer, whether you have 10 people at your wedding or whether you have 500 people at your wedding, the bride is still going to be getting ready in the morning. There's still going to be a ceremony. There's still going to be your immediate family photos. There's still going to be bride and groom photos. There's still going to be a dinner. There's still going to be the parents that give a speech, and the bride and groom are going to stand up and thank everyone that happened to be there. They're still going to do a cake cutting, and they're still going to do a first dance. For me, it doesn't change how many hours I'm there or how many edited photos I have to do or how many photos that I'm really doing. My focus is the bride and groom and the immediate family. And so the second photographer, of course, would go around doing all those extra things. So you don't necessarily need a second photographer. But it's just the fact of people that try to lowball vendors because I don't know if they've been hurting for the last 2 years and they feel like they can get away with it.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of that. And I think it's like, I think people coming out of this this COVID situation, I think it reset everything. And a lot of the old school vendors are gone. A lot of people had to shut their business down because they had families and they had to start new careers or whatever. And there's a lot of new people in the business that are lowballing themselves. They're the ones that are lowering the prices and lowering the quality as well. And it's weird because people are becoming accepting of lower quality product as well. Like I've been to a few weddings this year where the food was horrible. And I'm looking at it and people are paying huge food prices right now. And the quality of the food has gone down the tubes. And people are just accepting it because they're like, well, that's just how it is, right? And so I think when they're getting to that, the food prices are high, like they're like, we got to start saving somewhere. So they're lowballing DJs, lowballing photographers. I was at a wedding the other day and the videographer was $600. And he was a one-man videographer thing. I'm like, and this guy is like plugging in, his thing broke. He plugged into my thing, it broke. I'm like, who is this guy? It's like Bizarro World videographer guy. It was really weird. And I think that's just where we're at. Like there's new people in the industry and you got to be careful when you're hiring somebody, look at their track record. Look, have they been in business for over a decade? You want someone that's been in business for a while. And no offense to anybody who's listening at all and who's just starting out, but you got to pay your dues. Cause like we said at the beginning, weddings are a one-shot deal, right? Weddings are a one-shot deal. And if you're hiring someone, hire someone with experience. And don't worry about the price because the price only dictates how great of a product you're going to get, I think, in the end.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you.
All right. So what's the best advice that you can give to somebody who's planning their wedding right now? And this will be right before Kel does an amazing magic trick for you. What's the best advice you can give someone planning their wedding?
Okay, so I'm very aware that I'm probably going to get some heat for this online.
Yes.
But
Mike loves it.
I want to be honest and I want to be very clear about it. So how many times have you guys heard the term, the bride is never on time for the ceremony?
Almost always, probably 50, 60% always.
Yeah, it is a common occurrence where people constantly say the bride is never on time. Well, then ask yourself, who is the one that's causing the brides to always be late? The thing that's frustrating for me as a photographer, and I'm talking like Yes, there's going to be people that are upset by this, but I'm talking about 1,300 weddings based on experience here. It comes down to the hair and makeup artists. I get so tired of telling the bride that I do not start photographing them until all the hair and makeup is done, and then I stage them for the best photos taken. Well, oftentimes the hair and makeup artist will ask the bride, okay, well, what time do you need to leave by? And if they say I need to leave the house by 2, they'll often have them in the chair until 2. And then it's the most frustrating thing because it's like, okay, well, where's the time to get something to eat? Where's the time to get your jewelry on? Where's the time to get your veil on? Where's the time to get your dress on? Where's the time to get a photo with your mom doing up the back of your dress? Where's the time to get a photo with you and your bridesmaids in front of a window? Where are the times for all this and that if you're going to keep the bride in the chair to the last possible moment, causing her to be late? It's complete sabotage for every other vendor. And not only that, but if you're stressing the bride out early in the morning, you just set her up for the entire day because the wedding going forward, she's nothing but a stress ball.
Interesting point. You know, it's so funny. That's so huge, actually. It's funny when you say that too, because I've gone in to visit the brides. I always like to go in when they're getting their hair and makeup, and it's a chat session. It's like a very casual kind of like, oh, you know, sitting around talking, and it's never really like a serious moment. And I always wonder, is that just because they're trying to like relax the bride, downplay it a little bit, you know, like just kind of keep her loose, not make her so tense. But it's like if you would have started earlier, then you could have that session. You know what I mean? And then you could get her out the door. Interesting.
The truth of the matter is there should be 1 hour prior before when the bride actually leaves for the ceremony. That's how long the bride actually needs. You'll never see a bride ready 1 hour before they're supposed to leave, though. It's almost unheard of. There are the very, very few weddings where there are a handful of vendors that I love working with because they do actually give me that time to photograph the brides. But let's just say the bride has a corset backing. That's 20 minutes on its own. Let's just say the bride needs something to eat because she's been getting her hair and her makeup done for the last 2 hours. Well, that's 10 minutes. Let's just say the bride wants to get a photo with her and her mom and then a first look with her dad coming in. That's another 10, 15 minutes. The bride actually needs an hour.
Interesting. There you go. That's from a pro. Someone who's on the front lines of taking pictures of brides. That's such a good point. Man, I'm going to keep an eye on that from now on.
There has to be a checklist or something that you can prep, that we can prep brides for, like in the future, right?
Well,
like a checklist.
The only thing is, like, I can talk to brides, but the second you start saying things like that, then I start stepping on toes of other vendors, which is a big no-no in the industry, which is why I feel like I'm going to get some heat from it. But I just feel like, you know what? If nobody speaks up, nobody knows.
Such a great point. That's good. And it's, you know, it's important.
And I've done hundreds and hundreds of weddings. I never knew that. And Mike, I don't think you've heard that either. So someone's got to say something.
It's always blamed on the bride. Like, oh, the bride, you know, picky, this and that. Like, you never really think about it. Like, yeah, there's somebody that's holding her up. She wants it done. She wants to get down that aisle, get married, and get to the drinking and the partying. Like, it's hell on earth for her until she says I do. You know what I mean? So everybody.
And not only that, but with a bride, she's trusting the vendors that they know what they're doing, that she's done all the planning for a year or a year and a half, that she gets to put her trust into the vendors. And when one vendor from the very start of the day screws it over with time, that screws everybody else over for the rest of the day.
Wow, it's fascinating. Great point. Actually, really good point, Rebecca. I'm going to remember that when I talk to my brides too. I'm going to let them know about that. Well, I'm going to show them this podcast. What are you talking about? I'm going to show them right here. You can tell them yourself. All right, so wrap everything up today. Thank you so much for coming on, Rebecca. It was so cool. We got our first podcast done to talk to you. And now to wrap it all up with a cherry, you got the amazing Kel in the box below is going to do a trick to get you out. Did you remember your business cards?
Wow. I apologize, Rebecca. We're going to have to destroy them. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so I have 4 of my business cards over here. Okay, so I'm over here on my side of the screen. You're over there on your side of the screen. So I want you to take your 4 cards right now, and you're going to write stuff on the back of them. Okay.
Okay.
So
Hold
what
on.
I
Do
did
need
is
4 cards?
4 cards. Yes, you need 4 of
Okay,
them.
hold on. 2.
And then we're going to make them all different. And you can take your time doing this while I explain what's going on. So the first one I wrote Rebecca, right? So this one is the Rebecca card. Okay. This one I put save the day because that's what you like to do, and that's who you are. You're the hero. And then this one is high pressure. So you write on your business cards 4 of them different. You can just put A, B, C, D, or you can just put 4 words that you want to kind of share with everybody here. But we're going to make 4 of these business cards all different. So do you have a Sharpie with you to write that? Okay. Yeah. So make them all different right now. I've already written mine ahead of time to just because.
And do I show you or I don't show you?
You do show me because you show everyone and everybody at home or everybody watching. You can get 4 business cards of your own, 4 playing cards, and do the exact same thing. We're just trying to make 4 cards that are different here, and then we're officially not starting it. We're just trying to get the prep out of the way. Once you have the 4 cards, you're going to show them to the camera, and then we can get started. The magic.
This is some wedding Chris Angel. You're the wedding Chris Angel,
Facebook,
buddy. Or virtual.
Wedding Chris Angel virtual podcast.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
I have.
okay. So let's just show you. Let's just show one at a time. Which one's there? Like really quick. I got high pressure here. 11 years. Rebecca and save the day. What do you got?
Okay, so I've got rings. Oh, there we go.
Got it.
Rings.
I see it.
I got the package. I got, where is it? Love.
Yep.
And I've got wedding.
Okay, so now what you're gonna do is you're gonna turn it facing down so that you can't see it. Okay. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna fold these in half all together. So we need to fold them in half. Okay, like I said, you're gonna destroy
you know
them.
how thick these are?
Okay. You might need a pair of scissors nearby.
Okay.
Okay.
So should I go get scissors?
Maybe because you're gonna tear this in half. That's the next step is to tear this in half. You know, it's not a problem. It'll give time for people to get 4 business cards to come and join us as the trip. Yes. All right. So while we're waiting for Rebecca, Mike, what's one takeaway point you got from today?
Well, what's really cool about Rebecca is that, like, after 13 years in the business, she actually has an opinion and she has advice to give. Like, I've talked to a lot of people in the industry that really just show up and do their job and then really don't have opinions on things. Like, it's like they're not paying attention to what's going on. And what's cool is when you ask somebody their opinion of something and they have it, you know how dialed in they are to their job, right? Because this is, and like I say, this is not a job. This is a career choice. People who are in it for over a decade, like Rebecca, myself, these are career choices. We dive in and we dig in and we try to become the best of what we do. And if you ask somebody, like I even tell people, you hire someone on their character, ask them questions, and make sure that they give you proper answers. And if they're not going to give you proper answers, chances are you're not going to get good product out of them, whatever it is, DJ, photos, video, magic. They're not going to get a good result. Right?
Okay, I got a
100%.
question
Now
for
stop
you.
interrupting. Yep.
Yeah, sure.
How many times am I folding it? Just the twice?
Just folding it in half like this, like right in the middle.
Yep.
Okay. And then I'm gonna tear this in half, just like right through the middle.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna back up a little bit so you can see. So you can cut
Just
yours
have
in
to
half
cut
as well. Yeah. So you have the 2 halves, one in left hand, one in the right hand. Okay, perfect. Place the right hand over on the top. Right hand over on the top. Yep, that's good. The other right hand, that's good. That's good. Okay, and then kind of place it in your hand, like kind of like palm up type thing. Yep, that's perfect. Okay, so now take the top card. And place that on the bottom. Let's see you do that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, excellent. Now take the top 2 cards and place it on the bottom. Okay, this is like a shuffling. That's what we're doing. So 2 cards and place them on. Excellent. Now, take the next 3 cards, 1, 2, and 3, okay? And place them in the middle, not the top, not the bottom, but in the middle. Go ahead and do that now, okay? And then take the next top card. Don't look at it. Take the next top card, but don't look at it, and put it aside. Put it underneath a cup. Don't look at it. 7 years of bad luck if you look at it. Put it under somewhere away so it's safe, okay? Awesome. Now, this is what is called my love ritual. So we're going to eliminate some of the bad luck that we've had from, the pandemic and the previous year. So if you had very mild bad luck, it's been pretty good for you. Just take 1 card. If you had medium, take 2 cards. And again, if people at home are doing this, if you had a really, really bad year, take 3 cards. So I'm going to take 1, 2, or 3, but I'm going to take 2 of them, and I'm going to throw them away. Go chuck them right now. Chuck them behind you onto the sofa.
I'm going to get rid of 2.
Watch the cat.
2.
Watch the cat.
Okay. All right. Wow. Watch the cat. Watch the cat. Okay. Next, now we're going to do the days of the week. Joey. Okay, because it takes time for this love ritual to fester. So Monday, take the top card and place it on the bottom. Very good. Tuesday, take the top card and place it on the bottom. Excellent. Wednesday, take the top card, place it on the bottom. Thursday, take the top card, place it on the bottom. Friday, take the top card, place it on the bottom. See a pattern. Saturday, take the top card, place it on the bottom. And Sunday, take the top card and place it on the bottom. Okay. All right. The last thing we need to do is, I don't even know what this is called, but it's that classic love poem, Loves Me or Loves Me Not. So Loves Me, take the top card, place it on the bottom. Very nice. Loves Me Not, throw that away. Chuck it. It's gone. It's gone. Okay. Loves Me, take the top card, place it on the bottom. Home. Loves Me Not, chuck the next one. It's gone.
If she chucks it, then she has to call Shelly in, and she's not into that.
Loves Me, take the top card, place it on the bottom.
Shelly already came in.
Loves Me Not, chuck it, get rid of it. I hope you probably lost everyone here, Leah. Loves Me, take the top card, place it on the bottom. And then Loves Me Not, chuck it away until you have 1/2 left. Right? Do you have 1/2 left? Yes? Okay. Now remember I told you to put a card aside earlier. Take that other card, and if it matches, you're going to see that it worked on my side of the screen. Mine says Rebecca right here. If your rips match, and give me like a thumbs up if it does. Turn it around, show it to the camera, and boom!
Love.
It is love. Wow, what a way to end that. It matches.
Love is the answer. Love will keep you alive in the world of magic and in the world of photography. And love is why we do these podcasts. Rebecca, we love you. You're awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. And keep taking pictures of people in love.
Aw, thank you guys so very much for having me.
Yeah. We're going to see you at Shay and Kyle's wedding next year for sure, but we'll see you probably in
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, you're at Shay's wedding, right? Shay and Kyle?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. We're going to make it really fun. We got a t-shirt gun and everything, so it's going to be good.
Perfect. Well, thank you for letting me be your very first guest.
Boom, solid. We got it. Perfect. And you can join us every week. We're going to have a new guest on here. Rebecca, thank you for coming on. And I love your cat house. That's really cool. It's awesome. That's epic. Look at the size of that thing. It's happy cats, man. Happy cats.